This video comes out in October 2020. It is clear that today the number of tourists in Iceland is small, but 8 months ago, before the pandemic hit the world, this small state in the North Atlantic Ocean was one of the most desired destinations for travelers from all over the world. In recent years, the number of tourists in Iceland has quadrupled. Paris, New York or London can only envy such an increase in visitors from abroad. Why did tourists from all over the world begin to rush to Iceland, despite the cold and high prices for hotels and food? How and why this country has become so popular in a few years, we will understand in this video. In order to understand how much the number of tourists in Iceland has grown in recent years, just look at this graph. The red line shows the growth of the country's population, and the blue line shows the growth of incoming tourists. The last graph moves almost vertically, despite the fact that Iceland is statistically one of the most expensive countries for tourists. For example, a room in a simple hotel will cost a tourist 200 and 300 euros per night. Of course, the main attraction of the country is nature, but with all the amazing beauty of Iceland, a trip to other northern countries with similar landscapes can cost much less. What happened in recent years, from which everyone rushed to Iceland en masse? Apparently, there are several unrelated reasons for this, the first of which is the global financial crisis. In the year 2008, the economies of all countries of the world suffered from it, but it was Iceland that suffered the most. The country's economy has fallen to a historic low. It was the low cost of the national currency that then began to attract tourists who had not even thought about Iceland before. Ironically, cheapness was once the first impetus for a sharp increase in the number of tourists on the island. A couple of years later, another event happened, thanks to which millions of people from all over the world first heard about a small island state in the north of the Atlantic Ocean. It was a volcanic eruption called Eyjafjallajökull. Just try to pronounce this name the first time. Before that, no one even thought that the eruption of one volcano could cause the closure of air traffic over most of Europe with some regions of Asia and North America. In the territories over which the volcanic ash spread, thousands of flights were cancelled, people spent the night at airports across Europe. A volcano with an unpronounceable name and Iceland itself have become the central subject of news around the world. As you know, even bad advertising is also advertising. In the same year, the country's authorities launched a marketing campaign called Iceland Inspiration. The company's goal was to convince foreign tourists that, despite the volcanic eruption, Iceland is absolutely safe to visit, and this idea worked 1000%. The very next year, Iceland was visited by a record number of tourists in the history of the country. This was followed in 2013 by the film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The film, where most of the plot is devoted to Iceland, and the main character dissects on a longboard against the backdrop of beautiful landscapes. The film was quite popular, but it is unlikely that he could cause a massive tourist frenzy in Iceland. No scientific research has been conducted on this subject, but Instagram has probably become the main secret of the tourist boom to the island. Probably the photos of waterfalls, mountains, geysers and cute horses in the feeds of millions of people around the world made the best advertisement for Iceland. All this created the image of a place that you need to visit in the first place, and exorbitant prices for accommodation only increased the desire of thousands of tourists to get into the closed club of the elite, those who still visited this far but beautiful country. However, all these theories, although confirmed by some facts, still remain just guesses. Perhaps it's easier than it seems. Perhaps Iceland is just an insanely beautiful country with untouched nature, breathtaking landscapes, located on a small island in the middle of the ocean. A huge difference between Iceland and other countries is that many incredible natural attractions are located on the territory of one small island. That is, you can see everything in one trip. Believe me, there is something to see. This is the Blue Lagoon near Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. This is a must-visit place. Even those who have never been to Iceland have probably seen this place online. The most amazing thing is that in reality the color of the water is exactly what it looks like in the photographs. The reason for this is the minerals and various substances that give the water such a shade. All these substances are very beneficial for health. The water temperature in the lagoon remains at 35 or 40 degrees throughout the year. Geysers are another of the main attractions of this country. This rare natural phenomenon can be seen up close in Iceland. Some of the geysers spout hot water every 10 or 20 minutes. All this happens to the applause of tourists, and it is not surprising, because geysers are a natural phenomenon. Due to volcanic activity, groundwater is heated and shot out under intense pressure. In the south of the country, there are amazing ice caves that attract travelers from all over the world. All these are parts of a huge glacier. The caves are made entirely of amazing blue ice. Due to the fact that the glacier is very ancient, the ice of which it is composed is compressed and contains almost no air bubbles, so it is bright blue in color and almost transparent. And that's not all. Lakes, mountains, waterfalls, northern lights, glaciers, all these incredible natural attractions are concentrated in one place, and perhaps this is the main reason why people from all over the world travel to this small northern island. The epidemic will come to an end sooner or later, and hopefully soon we will be able to see Iceland live, and not just in photographs. If you liked this video, then put your fingers up, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to be notified about new videos and, of course, leave your comments under this video.